Okay, let's start. Karen, I'm so happy to have that conversation with you again. I absolutely loved our previous chat, and thank you for taking me on my offer to make a second
No, I'm
video.
happy to do so. Great to talk to you again.
Likewise, and now I was thinking a lot, and there is one kind of topic that's always a struggle for planners out there. And we're heading towards the time when conversation around budgeting contact centers are going to start happening. There will be back and forth going over our calculations and changing values and changing performance. And I find that topic very fascinating because for me, this is where all of the strategic decisions are taken place, but
Yes.
also the topic where probably our voice from WFM perspective is not really heard. So I have learned from my perspective the hard way that when I was going to those conversations with senior management and contact center managers, I was spamming them with all of my knowledge around different categories of shrinkage and average handling time. And I was making things so complicated that at some point, first of all, they no longer listened to me.
Mhm.
Second of all, what I didn't understand back at the time is that this is my job, not theirs. What they're interested in is how much money we'll have to spend and what they will achieve with the money that they're spending. So what I'm trying to figure out is we talked about scenario and how can it help organizations to calculate the cost and how can it calculate the capacity needed and the performance. Can you quickly show me if I'm a contact center manager or decision maker, what can I expect from that tool?
Sure. And I'll share my screen because I can show you one of the reports that scenario generates that will
Mhm.
hopefully give you an idea on what to expect. So once you run through and build a capacity plan, one of the options in the plan is to enter staffing salaries, which can help generate a financial analysis for you. So when you generate a baseline forecast, and you'll see here we have a baseline and a scenario. But if you were
Mhm.
just going to focus on this baseline report here, we have
Mhm.
5 Qs in this capacity plan, a couple that are deferrable and non-deferrable. Well, what's key, I think, from a financial analysis perspective, is beyond just production hours and even agent requirements, how many total required agents that you need, as well as support staff. Once you get down further in the report, you'll actually see a comprehensive budget, not only salaries, but you actually get the costs of hiring ahead of attrition, your total budget, and then even more important, we're finding with many people are these important KPIs. So the cost per work type on a Q by Q basis as well. So these all help form your analysis.
Okay, so you got me on several key aspects here because usually the point in many organizations where we're stopped, the planning teams, is okay, this is our average handling time, this is the volume that we're expecting, this is the amount of agents that we would need.
Mhm.
But what I'm hearing or seeing also from you here is that first of all, I can see the performance, which is great, which is what I would need for
Yes.
my job. But what, again, a decision maker would want to see is what would be the total cost and how that total cost is split per department. Because I must admit, a lot of organizations, including myself previously years ago, I have completely discounted the support staff
Mm,
and how much
yes.
money to count the support staff. So while we're often talking about shrinkage, and how many unproductive hours we're going to have, we kind of discount that we also need trainers, we need quality teams, we need WFM teams. And again, from a contact center manager perspective, I would need to understand, okay, what do I have to budget for? But also, how would those numbers change if I'm looking at different service levels? So this is usually where I am stopped and I'm
Yes.
asked, okay, that's your service level. Can you change me how much we'll have to pay if we use different calculations? We use
Yes.
different KPIs.
And that's what's great about scenario because you can build scenarios exactly like you're talking about and to see what the difference would be. And that's why when we're looking at scenario one here, all we did in scenarios one is copy the baseline and make one small edit where we changed the service level for the English inbound calls in this example. So we went from an 80-20 service level forecast to an 80-60. And then
Mhm.
just changing that one variable and recalculating the forecast, you can start to see the difference just with that one small change in your service level. And if you scroll down in the report, you'll see under agent requirements for that queue for English inbound calls, based on that service level change, you now need 12 less agents. And not only that, but in terms of support staff, you need one less supervisor. And in terms of the impact on your budget, if you look down here, the total budget line item, we've gone from 138, 199 to 88, slightly reduced here, 137 in change. And then also, if you look at the cost per work type for the one queue we changed here, you can see we've gone from 570 to 559. And that's just from changing that service level forecast from 80-20 to 80-60. And you can see it within seconds.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have to forgive me. I will. Usually what happens when we do those calculations in Excel is that we're having conversations, then we have to go back, we have to work the Excel files and the formulas, and then we have to go back and present with the new scenarios. So in terms of effort for me, for my job, how much time it would require to change these variables and to show the result to the stakeholders?
Extremely simple. So like I mentioned, all you have to do is go into editing the scenario and change any one or more of these factors. So you can see here in this review step, we have all the inputs that we've done to create our capacity plan: average handle time, shrinkage factors, new higher learning curve, attrition rates. You can change one or more of these variables on the fly. Like we changed it from 80-20 to 80-60. And then all you do is click calculate. The system calculates it. And then within seconds, you'll see your updated scenario with the new calculations. And you can add even additional scenarios on this as well. If you thought, well, instead of 80-60, I want to change it to 81-20, or any type of change to the variables, you can start seeing the changes side by side and how it impacts on your baseline and what the changes and the variables are to your baseline. This is what's great about this tool, because you don't have to go back to Excel and start playing with formulas and start recalculating and start sharing Excel files. The software is collaborative as well. Other people that have access to the software can see the plans themselves, can print them, can export them. You can easily share them for collaboration, which we feel is important when you're doing this type of work as well.
I really like that. And the thing with Excel is that, first of all, I like Excel. It's where I learned to do my job, but there's always that possibility of mistakes, So
Exactly.
for some more advanced calculations, especially when it's the matter of cost, I feel like we should touch very lightly, and we need to be very careful because a single mistake can be quite costly. But also, again, what I need for my job is a tool who would provide me with extreme amount of detail where I can factor different categories, different queues, different channels, different what have you. But for more senior stakeholders, they don't need to know my job in that level of detail. That's why I'm being paid for. What they're paid for is to make decisions or inform decisions based on some insights and amount of information that they're provided, which is why I really like that very quickly they can make those decisions, or at least have the information presented in a very
Exactly.
concise way. What's your performance? How much you're going to pay? What you're going to achieve? And then we basically stick with it and see if we can make it work.
Exactly.
Another
Exactly.
thing, another thing that really sparked my interest and that I'm very passionate about is the recruitment curve. Because again, once a decision is made, what we need to make sure is that we're following some sort of a recruitment plan where often the process gets broken. So either we're left out of the loop, either someone else is left out of the loop if that's not factoring the calculation. So how and can I even see that in the tool?
Yes. And what I've switched to now is the training and recruitment planner. And this allows you for any one of the scenarios that you've created to see your recruitment and training plan. So for this example, we're looking at the baseline scenario and we're looking at one of the specific cues that we built. All you have to do is you plug in your training length, your forecasted graduation rate. So in this example, we're forecasting a graduation rate of 75%, your class
Mhm.
size, and your recruitment lead time. And because we're looking at a month over month plan here, it will tell you each month not only how many new people you need, but exactly the date you need to start recruiting, when you need that training class to start, and how many trainers you need on a month by month basis and also on a Q by Q basis as well.
I really like that for recruitment teams as well, because we're often putting them in a difficult situation as well. Just find me someone to do something, but then they find someone to do something and it's not what we want.
Exactly. Exactly. And this helps you hire ahead of attrition too. So based on your attrition rates, so you make sure you have someone trained up and ready to go when someone leaves, so you can maintain really excellent customer service, which is important as well.
That's the thing that I would say that almost every single contact center is struggling with attrition. And this is where we lose most of the money, most of the budget. But we also don't have very good mechanisms to have the full picture and to understand, okay, how are we predicting the attrition? What would be the lead time to recruit new people? How would the operations look like within that time frame? So yeah, I actually really like that.
Yeah,
I
no,
think it's
very helpful. It takes again a lot of the guesswork out, which is what we're trying to do.
and the thing that I like, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because again my whole background was in Excel before I started working with different tools, is that usually have different files, different versions of different files. Somebody is making edits, then don't remember which is the latest version in which desktop it is. So I think especially maybe for bigger size organizations or for BPOs as well,
Mm,
I can really see the use of this software.
yeah.
So how much time would it be required to implement that software in organization?
It's, you know what we're finding? It's literally off the shelf. We tried to build it in a very intuitive way. Like it's a step-by-step wizard to build a capacity plan. Whenever, someone's interested and we give them a license, we offer training. And so far, no one's taken us up on it because it's been so easy to understand. Like we're open to training, but you can literally pick it up so quickly. And the time savings. So what we heard from one of our BPO clients is depending on the complexity, but it saves him because he's been using Excel for years and years. It saves him up to 75% of his time just by using this instead of Excel. So he can devote that time to more, strategic analysis and, actually thought put into how they should, like move forward. So making those informed decisions just with the time savings alone and,
Mhm.
being able to compare a lot of people that have been using the tool compared to some of the old spreadsheets to see how the difference in calculations and the formulas a bit more optimized, a lot more accurate, and really, gets rid of a lot of previous mistakes that they weren't even aware that were existing in some of their spreadsheets before.
Can I ask you a very honest question
Yeah,
on this one? What
yeah.
is the most often objection that you have from maybe senior stakeholders for getting the tool?
You know what? We're finding that the people that have been using Excel are really married to their spreadsheets in a way. They love their spreadsheets. They've been using them for years. A lot of the, pushback might just be with change, right? It's been done a
Mhm.
certain way for so long. And these spreadsheets are like marvelous. Like they're beautiful, they're complex, and they have really dedicated people that have devoted years to building them and know them inside and out. So any sort of change to a more automated way sometimes, uh, just from a change management standpoint, can be a little bit difficult. And we're finding that, if the knowledge is centralized around one or two people in an organization and suddenly someone leaves and they're the ones that have been building the capacity plans using spreadsheets, then suddenly it's a little bit of a frantic time, right? Like, what are we going to do? No one else understands what's been built, how to use these spreadsheets. So this is a great solution in terms of multiple people can use it. You don't have to be, you don't have to know all the Erlang C formulas, you have a collaborative way of building them. And if that one person leaves, you're not kind of left in the dark of wondering what to do.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because at the moment when you said change management and somebody builds their own Excel files, that's exactly what's happening. Somebody leaves, there's someone new, they don't know how to use the file, they get it broken, something happens, and then there is an instant panic mode.
Yes.
So yeah, I can fully relate to this comment.
Yeah.
Is there
I don't even like change either. Like sometimes it's hard, but then once you can adopt it and once people start using it, they're realizing, oh my God, like, where has this been all my life? I'm like, it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, I can understand that. And personally, what I really like with understanding new softwares is that you upskill yourself and you develop yourself. So I might be very comfortable and confident in my Excel spreadsheets, but why not learn something new? You know, that things are constantly evolving and developing. So I think more people should be just exposed and open to the idea that the world is moving forward and it's not
Exactly.
still.
Exactly.
Okay, I remember, and this would be probably my final question for you for today. I remember that you have mentioned, and I don't know whether this is still the case, that you can potentially provide a free trial for users that just want to
Oh,
get their hands on the software.
definitely, definitely. We can give anyone a 30-day trial if they want. They can use it for a month, see how they like it. We always encourage people to, enter the data, like you take one of your previous spreadsheets if you use spreadsheets, enter the data, compare the differences, see the level of accuracy. We're open to setting anyone up for a 30-day trial because we feel, and the people that have been taking us up are adopting the software quite quickly because they realize the time savings involved.
Perfect. Well, Karen, thank you so much for showing that view for me.
No
Again, I
worries.
can absolutely relate to how fast and how much more convenient would be for me for my job. But what I really want to get across is the view for our senior stakeholders that have to oversee the whole operations and they have to think about every single aspect of what's currently happening. So, how can we make it easier, but also better in terms of accuracy for them in terms of data? So,
Yes.
thank you so much for this conversation.
No worries. It was great talking to you, Irina, once again. Thanks so much.